More at smithmbainintoronto.com. Your next report at 7:41 with the forecast is meteorologist Carl Lamb.
And we're keeping an eye on this rain. At this point, it is picking up.
So Doug Ford sounds like a drug dealer in court talking about why they didn't spend the money they got in the first quarter of the year. There's a shooting in Brampton. GO trains are now traveling to London, and we got some links to some weird shit.
Was mentioning the Kelso Conservation Region, slow there, Milton. This is just going to be the trend tonight. We have more of this steady rain that's coming our way, so make sure you have your full headlighting system on, wipers on full force tonight. And then this rain, again, there's not a ton of thunder or lightning with this, so it's just enough to really slow things down and make for a challenging drive, but there is more rain headed our way tonight, down to 13 degrees, and then tomorrow still have some rain in the morning, but things starting to taper off by the afternoon. Right now, 14 at Pearson, 16 at 680 News. Tonight's overnight low is 13. 680 News time, 7:33.
And we're following breaking news from Brampton tonight.
Police
are searching for at least 3 suspects after 2 people were shot.
What's going on with my screen?
Airport Road and Countryside Drive. A vehicle fire may also be linked to the shooting.
680 News. Michelle joins us live with those details.
You guys do that every time, man. You gotta be careful with that, because the fire won't destroy the VIN numbers, and they'll figure out where it's all from, and then they'll figure out who stole it.
Who had been shot, and a female had been shot as well. So at this particular point, Peel paramedics, Brampton Fire and Peel Regional Police were on scene and tending to the victims. And unfortunately, the man has succumbed to his injuries.
Constable Heather Cannon says the call came in around 4:05, and the female has been taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. We have no ages or descriptions, but about a 13-minute drive from there at Grenoble Boulevard and Williams Parkway, police say there was a car on fire, which is believed to be related to this shooting. Cannon says no one was in the vehicle.
So it's concerning that there's been a
and that's
shooting,
why
and there are people that
when we run fuel, we run heavy fuel.
We have a lot of officers and our homicide investigators.
Heavy fuel.
Police are asking anyone with information
If you want to
such
run
as dash cam
fuel,
footage to
you
come
got
forward.
to run
And we
heavy.
are expecting to hear some more details that a Peel media officers arrived on scene about less than 15 minutes ago. So hopefully it's more details to be released before 8 o'clock. Reporting live, I'm Michelle Morton.
Interesting.
A man accused of running down and killing a police officer in the underground parking lot at City Hall is now out on bail.
At City Hall.
City's Mark Douglas has reacted.
How many times did this happen this past year?
Police Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup killed in the line of duty. A first-degree murder charge is the result. But despite the seriousness of all that, 31
that last link there, the one that says 11:35 p.m. or whatever hour 35, that one's the one to check out.
That's John Reed, president of the Toronto Police Association.
This is the murder of an officer who's out protecting the public, and in the course of his duties, he loses his life.
Reed and Mayor John Tory pointing out how rare it is to get bail on any first-degree murder charge. Premier Doug
that implies you don't have evidence.
This is beyond comprehension. A statement from Toronto Police says this bail decision is only one step in a long judicial process. The Toronto Star reports that
thank you, TPS, for saying the right thing, because the Premier is interfering in the case.
Electronic tracker cannot drive and cannot leave the province. I'm Mark Douglas.
Did you say he's got a tracker?
The start of fall, bringing in lots of rain and cooler temperatures.
Does he have a sidekick? Does his sidekick have a Does the Suzuki sidekick have a geo tracker too? Because I need 2020 Dodge Ramadan with the COVID-19 transmission with the 8-to-1 transmission ratio.
Towards London this evening, be very careful. There's a potential for some flooding in those areas.
Or 6-to-1, depending on which news you've seen.
Stick around into the morning, but should ease up in the afternoon.
This is All News Radio 680 News. The NDP says it's taking responsibility and regrets any confusion that may have been caused by one of its ads that mistook one PC MPP for another. As 680's Phil Martino tells us, the Ford government called it a racially insensitive ad.
Of course he did.
The NDP ad includes
because all he saw was 2 brown people. Okay, would I have said the same thing? Maybe. Veggie, salmon.
Ford and your MPP Khalid Rashid have paid sick days. NDP leader Andrea Horvath says if there was any error,
Veggie was second.
Not done with any malice or any kind of.
And then one of the grandma ladies gave me one. She said somebody gave it to her, so she gave it to me.
Really
dedicated to ensuring that not only do we have stronger anti-racism actions from this government, but that we also make sure that candidates and MPPs reflect our communities.
The NDP released a statement saying back in April it produced a number of graphics holding to account each PC MPP who voted against paid sick days. One of those graphics had a mismatched name and photo and was taken down. I'm Phil Martino.
You're with All News Radio 680 at 7:38. Today is the first day of the province's proof of vaccine system, and we're hearing from the Premier. 680's Richard Southern reports from Queens.
Technically, this is a tie. Technically, this is a tie. If I tie it like this, it becomes. What am I, left-handed?
Taking questions from the media in the past 8
weeks.
weeks.
Now it's a bow tie.
All over the province every single day.
Now it's a bow tie.
I've been traveling from east, west, north, south. I didn't want to get involved in this federal election.
For acknowledging for the first time that he was laying low because of the federal election. It's day one, meantime, of vax certificates and for
That's
trying
an
to
interesting thing to
alleviate
say,
concerns.
because
I know that many people are concerned about the
the
certificate
boards
and what it means for
are
their
always.
civil liberties. I want you to know that I hear you. And it's
No
no secret
right.
that I was reluctant to use this tool. This is a temporary and exceptional measure.
I asked him just how temporary.
What specific criteria you will look at to decide when this program ends?
Well, the criteria is going to be based on the advice I get from the chief medical officer and the science table. So I can't give you the exact date, Richard, but hopefully it'll be sooner than later.
Meantime, on $10 a day childcare, Ford said he, quote, wants a deal with the federal government. He also said old conservative candidates will have to be vaccinated.
Can you give me a license that'll let me beat people up that piss next to the daycare? Can we do that?
Prices are next.
I don't care what they're paying for their kids to be there. Stop pissing next to the. See, I'm getting frustrated.
For years. And now with the advent of FlexiLine or a traditional equity loan, your options are even better. Compared to the banks these days, Capital Direct's lending criteria are less strict.
They've sent me so many of these. They sent me one in green.
$1.5 million or even $3 million. Your money could be in your bank account within days. Rates are near record lows, so call Capital Direct today.
Oh, right.
1-800 New Capital to get your FlexiLine.
Slowed down, and I gave this lawyer that I became the benefit of the doubt. But nothing has happened since then. The last I was in contact with him was in.
I believe this is employment law.
He said, "Oh, we're gonna try to
I'm gonna pack this.
do some negotiations with them." I have to go with.
Okay, so you know how it goes here. I get enough interruptions, attacks over the internet that it's a pain in the ass to even get this started and know that we have sound. So, what was I saying? There was 3 people, 2 people. They're looking for 3 people. 2 people shot. You heard that. The GO trains are now running to London. That's wonderful. There was a few things. But we'll hear it. We'll hear it again. So before I do so this is just dish soap and bleach. Okay? There's no other harsh things in here. Hey, check this out. We're gonna plant trees. We can get trees plant. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So I never seen that magazine joke today. I'm gonna look this up in a minute. In a few minutes. It's a Casio edifice, which is actually it's not a cheap ass watch. It's not a luxury watch, but it's not cheap ass either. So this one would actually cost more than the gold plated plated. Every gold watch is plated. The Guess watch here. This one would have actually cost more than this one. Just like my Timex would have cost the same as this one, even though it's also stainless steel. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that. I gotta hit my pipe here. Or maybe then I can think straight. Oh, and I just want to show you one last thing. Now apparently 5 of these drying. This is number 6. Do this without technical interruptions. Let me fail. All I ask is you let me fail on my own merit and judge me on my own merit. If you're judging the channel or me because there's so many fucking technical glitches, that's not my fault. It really isn't. I know. Yeah, burnt out. Okay. So what do I have here? Okay, let's just bleach it on here. It's not. The most amazing is a Christmas tree here. We celebrate every day. Give me a weird looking piece with a stick. There we go. That'll work. It's got a stick and it's weird looking. So I'll take care of this right now. And once I get this in me, maybe I can think straight. Hold on. Don't drop it, goddamn. Is that a fucking mouse turd? Put the lid back on because I don't want to drop my weed all over this filthy floor. So, yeah, we'll get to this in a second.
Revolutionaries. Yo, we being targeted. Word up, man. We being hunted. All black men beware.
We are, but I can't. That's going to ruin my buzz. We are, but that's going to ruin my buzz. We can't hear about it 24/7, 365. It'll drive us crazy. Okay. It's almost 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock.
Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Where you at? Hit me up for the money, for the stash. Get this paper, get this cash. No, we here. Put my niggas in the trash, put it in, flip it quick, get it back, add me up, put my niggas in the room, cleaning up, sweeping up.
It's 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock.
Run it up, double cup, so I got a couple racks today. Didn't think I'd make it, but I made it back today. Cashing out in the bag every day. Put in work, get paid. Where my niggas at? Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Just got off the plane, juice all in my veins, 6 buzzing my name, no one on these flames. Fucking Friday night, I ain't playing no games. I'm that West End chick that was raised in the lane. And yeah, you won't believe, pay up, just raise the speed. They call it, but they can't get a hold of me. The beats on Friday, BT, raise a bar for the scene. If the work ain't clean, don't come up on me. They show up before, but they don't come around. I'ma ride this way, I'ma spark this place till the fire burn out. I'm before, but I'm done now. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party, like I won the lottery. I just wanna party.
With the block, we raided out on all you hoes. With the block, our buildings, we don't need.
Right. You're gonna hear keep your kids away from bodies of water, rivers, all that shit. That's no fucking joke. And I know while I'm hitting the pipe, I'm gonna get really fucking high really quick. Not in the last year, but from about 2 years ago, within a year, 2 female Pakistani journalists have died in Toronto because they can't prove somebody shoved them into the fucking harbor. If you come to this country, to this city, to get away from an oppressive regime, you think people are trying to kill you, etc., etc., don't go anywhere near that water. Just don't. Okay, because it's been happening for decades. Every year in the news, we read about, oh, another homeless person fell in the water. Really? Because there's nowhere for a homeless person to sleep or do anything. They say they're asleep, they're drunk, and they fall in the water. You know what? You know what? That's just
Wet the block, we wet the block, I call the chopper, wet the block, we wet the block, oh, where the bandit.
Because, like I keep saying, this is the real United Nations. Okay? But what do I mean by that? Every big person, oh, this person's a diplomat. Okay. Well, here in Ontario, we have 3 different diplomatic license plates. Most people have no idea what a diplomatic plate looks like. I'll tell you. It's white text on red. Okay, and there's 3. Most of our plates are 2 sets of 3 digits with a crown in the middle or whatever. It'll either be 1 C, 2 C's, or 3 C's. Okay, all those people, regardless of the level of diplomacy, diplomatic status, they're all included in that, even if they're just somebody, like they hire somebody to type and take notes or whatever. That person still has the diplomatic immunity, their status, whatever. They have a whole family to take care of while they're here doing that job. Their family is all. So long story short, a lot of people, okay, look at all the places where the UN operates. Where's the most affordable one to live in the long term? Toronto. If you think about it, I mean, there's probably other places. It depends what you're looking for. But these people come here. That's a train. These people come here for a safe place to live and raise their kids and shit. And the problem is, being such a free society here, if someone wants to travel to this country and do something bad to you and then flee the jurisdiction, it's damn near impossible for the authorities to stop that from happening. Okay, if somebody really wants to get you. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Wet the block, we rain it down on all you hoes. Wet the block, we wet the block of buildings we don't even know. Wet the block, we wet the block, I call the chopper, Wet the block, we wet the block, the weather. Wet the block, we wet the block, we rain it down on all you hoes. Wet the block, we wet the block on buildings we don't even own. Wet the block, we wet the block, I call the chopper, Wet the block, we wet the block, the weather man didn't even know. Wet the block, we wet the block, we raining down on all you hoes. Wet the block, we wet the block, our buildings we don't even own. Wet the block, we wet the block, I call the chopper, Wet the block, we wet the block, the weather man didn't even know. Wet the block, we wet the block, and we not into violence, though. Wet the block, we wet the block, we trying to put out all the smoke. Wet the block, we wet the block, your tears are what's gonna flood the road. Wet the block, we wet the block, but we not into violence, though. Wet the block, we wet the block, we trying to wash away the pain. Wet the block, we wet the block, my enemies have done the same. Wet the block, we wet the block, the cycle then restarts again. Wet the block, we wet the block, but never get rid of the stain.
So my grandmother always said, follow my brain here. My grandmother always said, the only normal, if you say something, oh, that's not normal. Normal is just a cycle on a washer, on a washing machine. Go look on your washing machine. Normal. Now find the word normal anywhere else in your life. You probably won't find it. After World War II, so from 1945 to 1950, people don't talk much about what happened. Well, we didn't have color television that was standardized quite yet, that was popular. A lot of shit happened. Where did the washing machine, automatic washing machine timer come from? You'd seen the old fucking cartoony things where they got the 2 rollers and the clothes go through and then the cat gets stretched out 10 feet long or whatever. Okay, that's a cartoon. Cartoons back then, the animations, were making light of some horrible, horrible things that would happen. Those washing machines, we've had a couple over the years in our shops. Those washing machines, very dangerous. The automatic timer on a modern washing machine is a derivative of the carpet bombing timer. Okay, because the speed at which we can develop technology and put it into production when we think someone's trying to kill us is incredible. And so the amount of equipment we had laying around after and what to do with it, the carpet bombing timer, which killed lots of people and also stopped a war. So which is the worse evil? So, and And this is what this song makes me think of.
We went the block, we ran it down on all you hoes. Went the block, we went the block on buildings we don't even own. Went the block, we went the block, I called the chopper, oh. Went the block, we went the block, the where the man didn't even know. Went the block, we went the block, we ran it down on all you hoes. Went the block, we went the block,
Fuck off, 1.9.
went the block, we went the block, I called the chopper, oh.
Okay, so a decision like this would get a lot of attention. Well, pub bans are not new on cases. Certainly, I think there should have been more released in the decision.
Was there a publication?
I
Which case
understand
is this?
the frustration in not understanding why the judge granted a release to this individual. But I'll say two things initially. One, we must remember
because there's security camera footage. And some tells me this guy jumped in front of the car, just like the last one that got hit by a snowplow.
Police officer doesn't mean that the person is presumptively guilty.
Thank you.
There is presumption of innocence. Second, we do have a constitutional right to bail. And three, I guarantee you, the reason.
Give me that watch. I would, but I can't open it, motherfucker.
To evidence about the case that has a significant impact on whether this is really a first-degree murder.
Right. And look, they lowered charges. Right, and I understand they lowered charges, you know, and I know some things that I cannot speak to, which gives me a bit more of a context of what's going on behind the scenes. But at the same point, this is such a high-profile case, and the fact that it involves.
But you're not allowed to talk about it later.
It's one of those things where, you know, we know that this is unusual, and it's not done every day. But when it is done, it's going to get a reaction.
I hear you, but we also have people get out on bail on murder charges when it involves regular civilians. So I don't think
and that's how the Jane Kriva shooting happened. 250,000 text messages pulled out of the air in seconds.
You know, a wife, a mother, a husband, a teacher. You know,
by keyword, keyword and location, not phone number.
Who've dedicated their life to protect us, like police officers. But that doesn't mean you don't get bail because you're alleged to have killed a police officer. We have,
but it does give it a higher profile.
Right, but that doesn't mean somebody gets detained because it's higher profile.
No, I get that, but then in making her ruling, the judge would have known that this was going to get a lot of questions.
Right, but the issue here is to protect the integrity of the trial, which will happen later on, and we do not want to taint the jury pool.
This is going to take at least 2 years to start.
So that there is a
probably 18 months after that.
The police officer who passed away,
and if
his family and the public.
It'll be another year for sentencing after that. 6 months to a year after that.
The evidence to be litigated and properly dealt with in a fair manner. If you release too much information where there has been issues related to the evidence that's anticipated at trial, it can have a very detrimental effect on the trial process, which is not good for somebody who's seeking a conviction, not good for somebody who's saying that they're innocent. We have to remember the integrity of this process is most important. We do not want to be the United States of America, where everything is litigated in the media and nobody has a right to a fair trial down there. Canada has a very judicious system.
Well, rich white people do.
A very experienced, intelligent judge who took her time to render this decision, and we should.
No, because even rich white people don't get a fair trial in Canada. If you want to make that argument.
Yeah, it's not often, certainly in my experience, with first degree. I mean, that's a different charge. It puts it in a different class, and already, Joe,
it can't be first degree. The scenario doesn't fucking.
You know, getting more lenient and taking a more proactive stance on some of these cases, and so here we are, and even the premier commenting on this, which I didn't think was a very smart idea. I don't like it when any politician comments on a big case like this.
Go back half an hour.
Because in
whichever way, I just said that.
Convicted, and I don't think the premier himself tweeted out what he said, which was essentially convicted the guy. It certainly adds complications to it. It was probably written by
and that's the thing. It won't affect this guy's case directly. The backlash of the public arena of that scenario will affect his case.
Couple of years. And he's given to impromptu comments, and maybe one of his staffers, but they should stay out of the court system and not ruin it.
If this is 555-1212, I'm not answering. Ooh, 666.
Politicians don't know the evidence. The court, is not sufficiently intelligent to lead this province. Never mind comment on the justice system. So that doesn't do anything for me. The issue here is Canadians should have total confidence in the justice system here. We do not have a country like the United States where there's
you're a fucking pedophile and you're fucking retarded.
We have a very safe community.
Hold on. Don't use my fucking life on your retarded show.
Who the fuck is this? It's my life on this show.
I'm the person you've been fucking doxing for a year, you fucking idiot.
I don't dox anybody. Dude, I didn't even turn the phone around with the phone number and name on it. I didn't.
I'll come to your fucking door right now.
Who the fuck is this?
Fucking door right now, you bitch.
Oh, okay. So whoever I've been.
Come to your fucking shows, you idiot.
Okay.
For a year.
I'm talking about watches and police getting murdered case.
Fucking want you.
It's on mute, eh? It's on fucking mute, so he can't hear me.
I can still hear you.
Oh, because you're watching. Yeah, okay, because you're watching. Okay, so whatever.
You're a fucking goof.
Okay.
And you're a fucking crackhead. And you pick people's garbage.
I pick people's garbage.
That's what you live out of, is people's garbage.
And
where else did you work?
Where else do I work? So you're calling it work. Whatever I'm doing in the garbage is work. So the phone number's on the screen here. Not at the moment, but it did.
You've never worked in your life.
If you say so.
Shut your fucking mouth. You have no education.
You guys want to hear this or the? Oh, they'll be on commercials for a few minutes.
You're filthy. You live in a fucking dumpster.
Okay, I live in a dumpster.
Your hair's a fucking knot, and I don't want to have sex with you. I'm not a pedo, you fucking idiot.
So who the fuck is this anyway? If you're attacking my sister,
that's been fucking chasing you.
Okay, so
you're a fucking goof.
You've been chasing me, eh? I'm okay.
Yes. Watch your fucking shows.
Okay.
You listen to me every fucking day.
I don't know your fucking name. So just to be clear, when I'm yelling about pedos and chomos, it's whoever's attacking my fucking home network here. That's when I say, oh, fuck off, pedophile. Whoever's hacking my network, I'm gonna say that about.
Fucking pedophile. You are a fucking pedophile. Look at you.
Well, I can see here. I got a mirror too. I don't.
No one wants you around their kids.
I don't go near people's kids. What are you talking about?
Nobody is attacking your fucking system.
Well, somebody is, because.
Nothing.
So this guy knows that no one's attacking my network. Okay.
Nothing.
Oh, this is so creative. This is so creative.
Because you have broken copyright laws every fucking day.
What copyright law did I break?
You're stupid. You fucking realize it.
Well, apparently so is YouTube. Because anything that they...
You can't play the radio on your station, you fucking retard.
Yes, I can. It's the news. It's the news. It's public. As long as I don't edit out their advertisements or call signs, yes, I can. I don't edit out their ads and I don't edit out their call signs, so I am allowed to.
You're fucking retarded. I'm arguing with the retard.
So how are you watching it if it's copyright violating? If it's violating copyright,
your opinion means nothing.
Okay. Well, we do have an hour to kill before.
You live in a fucking dumpster. Everything you own came from the garbage, and you have no knowledge.
Well, how did I fix all the stuff I got from the garbage? What are you talking about?
Keep my fucking life away from yours.
I know who the fuck you are.
I'm the person that you call 9-foot Jolo, you fucking asshole.
Which one? Which one, bro?
The pussy hole you were talking about the other day.
Which one?
Shut down your show.
Dude, I don't know who the fuck this is because so many people talk this shit.
Shut down your show.
So this is how you deal with people that talk shit about it.
Stupid.
So I was looking up this watch when the phone rang.
You're talking to no one.
No, I know. I'm recording this for late. So no, I in case everybody else is. So this guy's not in tune with technology. I don't know if that's because he was in jail or what. But like I know I'm talking to a camera that you can either watch live or watch later. So I get. That's good.
A prison rape gang?
Well, I'm assuming you're connected to the Indian Posse. I'm assuming you're connected to the Indian Posse, which is nothing but a fucking sex offender fucking thing. Anyway, we could talk about that too. If you guys aren't connected to this guy, you might want to do something about this because I'm pretty sure you are.
You go to the fucking hospital.
Well, I've been to both.
You go to the fucking hospital because you're sick in your fucking head. You don't go to jail.
Actually, we proved to the mental health tribunal that I'm not mentally ill the way they accused me of. And then the next 4 times I went to jail, thank you. So, and by the way, if you do have mental illness, don't listen to this asshole judging you. Oh. Yeah.
Enforcement will take an educational approach at first. However, the leader of the official opposition believes there are still ways for people to circumvent the new system.
We know that people who are unvaccinated are going to be able to go into locations where certificates are required, for example.
YouTube notified me, not a fucking pedophile. You fucking idiot.
Dude, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like the way you're screaming in the phone, I don't recognize his voice.
But you don't because you're fucking stupid.
Right, I'm stupid. There's a bunch of these idiots, and if you're friends and all know each other, then I'm right. And if you're not, then no, I'm not sure who you are.
And you talk shit for days.
Well, so what?
You have no knowledge.
Well, that's 2 separate things. So address my shit talking. Address my shit. I talk shit. Yeah, I want a response from some of these assholes. I'm gonna talk shit. Are you representing one of the people I talk shit about?
Talk shit now, and I'll be at your fucking door in 2 seconds.
Well, since my address has always been public, like my whole life, my address has been public, I'm not worried about it. Okay.
You don't know who I am, right?
No, I don't. Except for the phone number on the screen, which I think might be fake.
On your fucking profile, you fucking goof.
On my profile. You posted on my profile.
I am a real black person. I am a real black person.
Okay, well, I got sickle cell. Welcome to the family.
You are not.
How'd I get sickle cell then, stupid? If that's the argument, see? How'd I get sickle cell then, buddy?
You never was diagnosed, you fucking idiot.
Well, I've posted the photo of the diagnosis to Facebook a while ago.
Show me the blood test that says you have sickle cell.
We're working on that. I'm being denied health care because of people like you. I'm being denied health care because of people like you.
Because you're fucking your head, that's why.
I know that there is significant police presence in and around both scenes. So at this point, whoever's responsible knows we're looking for them.
Anyone who has information on either of these incidents is asked to contact police. Reporting live, I'm Michelle Morton.
680 News Time is 8:05. The man accused of first-degree murder in the death of Toronto Police Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup is now out on bail. Bail granted for 31-year-old Umar Zamir, facing a murder charge for the line-of-duty death of Toronto Police Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup. John Reed, president of the Toronto Police Association, says this is very disappointing.
And it really does strike at,
it is tying up my phone now.
We're out there doing our jobs. And they do it day in, day out.
So
They've
I
been
was
doing it
looking
through
up.
the pandemic. They really want to
8 minutes and 47 seconds. How long did it take that? Yeah, so you know what? I think I remember
Premier
this.
Doug Ford says this bail decision is beyond comprehension. Mayor John Tory tweeting out, "This shows the need for bail reform." A statement from Toronto Police says this decision is only one step in a long judicial process. The Toronto Star reports the bail conditions include house arrest at Zamir's sister's home and wearing.
You're smarter, right?
I'm Mark Douglas.
Rainfall warnings remain in place for Toronto, the GTA, with another 30 millimeters expected to fall throughout the night. And with all that rain, there's also the potential for flooding west of the city, including areas like Kitchener and London. We asked our meteorologist Carl just when this cold and wet weather will take a break.
This cold front has been moving so slowly, it essentially just stalled out over us. And it's really brought a lot of rain to the GTA. That's why those rainfall warnings are still in place. But as this system pulls away tomorrow, we'll start to lose some of the shower activity by tomorrow afternoon.
Carl says we'll see drier conditions for Friday, but the rain will make its return over the weekend.
680 News Time at 8:07. Well, this just into 680 News. Ousted Liberal MP Kevin Long has officially won the Spadina Fort York riding. Long was dropped by the Liberals just day before voting day over.
Nobody will let you near the children.
Been charged with sexual assault.
So I don't know whose kids are you talking about, man?
You are fucking disgusting.
Monday's vote, Long still was listed as a Liberal.
talk about
Long still
children
will sit as an
every
independent though
fucking
in the House
show.
of Commons.
An apology from Ontario's New Democrats for social media advertisement that mistook one KPT legislator for another. Here's 680's Phil Martino.
The ad ran in
Every
April.
fucking
Live such candidates' material without their permission. So what will this mean for the Liberals' only elected MP in Calgary? Well, he could lose his seat. Let us talk to the man whose camera caught this image. His name's Glenn Pennick. He's a homeowner in the riding of Calgary's Skyview. He joins us now. Good to have you, Glenn.
Hi, thank you.
What was your reaction?
Okay, I don't know if you heard that.
fucking pedo.
Why do you just accuse me of downloading pedophilia every
You're
day?
disgusting,
Pedophilia
guys.
is not the subject matter. It's the whole.
You say that every fucking day.
Whoever's attacking my network is
You're
a fucking
retard
chomo.
and now you're scared like a bitch.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
YouTube shut you down, you fucking retard.
What? Form sentences, bro.
I don't give a fuck about your shows, other than you say I'm in your life.
I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't know who the fuck this is, eh?
I'm the person you call 9-4 Chomo, you fucking dude.
Dude, you know why I use that term? There's like 6 fucking people on the same floor trying to fucking stab me. I can only assume you're all friends. So I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't know who the fuck you are, which one you may or may not be. If I was identifying a specific person, I wouldn't have said it. I know damn well not to identify somebody in a public video. So I don't know who the fuck you are. All I know is this person's prefix is 666. I swear to God, the phone number is 666. What?
You put a hole in that dog's head and you left it to die.
No. See, what you're doing is playing a game of broken telephone.
You have no pets now. Explain why you have no pets.
Because I'm dying, and I don't think it makes sense to get an animal right now.
Animal Services has forbidden you to have a fucking animal.
No. They sent me the license renewal 2 years in a row after she passed away.
Because you killed that dog.
No. The crackheads who had her before me contributed to her demise, I believe, but no, she was fat and happy.
They came and removed the dead dog from her fucking apartment.
That never happened, bro. That never happened.
The same one that you were fucking.
The what?
You're a liar, you bitch.
Investigating to your knowledge, not just on an election basis, but I gotta be honest, the first thought I thought was, well, like, if this is all on the up and up and there's nothing, you can knock at your door, but it's going on at night, so you wonder how many other houses did this happen at?
The story.
Other than you're a fucking crackhead.
Right. The story they're using for the eviction process, which is still ongoing.
You fucking retard.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know how you expect me to take it when I don't fucking know you. Like, I got real people that don't like me that would shoot me on sight.
Because you're fucking retarded.
They wouldn't do this. You know, they wouldn't run their mouth like saying dumb shit like this. So the story with the eviction thing is.
I don't give a fuck. You're a fucking goof.
So the story with the. Oh, you're gonna make sure I have not 1 second apiece, eh? So the story they're trying to use to evict me is basically the exact opposite of my story. I got accosted by somebody spitting a whole bunch of neo-Nazi shit at me, very specific neo-Nazi shit, and I never repeat the racial slurs they call me, except for 2 of them. There's 2 I use over and over because I identify with them. And they're trying to turn it around that I said the exact same word-for-word things to him, except the racial slurs don't make sense. So that's what it comes down to. There's a video of the incident, and at no point did I do anything to this person. The allegations don't match up. Even the assertion that the police attended, no, they didn't. The police never attended. There's a video of the incident that's been submitted to the tribunal, so it exists. The police never attended. But like that's how neo-Nazis do things. So. Did you hang up yet?
how do you characterize this?
Oh, certainly. I mean, when the signs and that started going
all right, I gave you
up,
15 minutes. That's...
I'm driving along 52nd and on 52nd Street.
So I am legally entitled to share the phone number.
There's a big sign.
And the reason I don't is because I think they're spoofing somebody else's phone number.
And somebody,
but I swear to God, it's the area code and it's 666.
Mouth with white paint and stuff like that. And the first thing that came to my mind is that's totally illegal, and whoever did that should be charged. I mean, I don't care. You don't touch other people's, committee signs or
campaign material.
Yeah. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is pretty clear in Elections Canada that it is a violation of the Elections Act if any candidate touches anyone's campaign material. But, the other side of this is that someone's come up on your personal private property and gone into your mailbox. So where does this go in your mind, Glenn? I mean, is Elections Canada investigating this? Have they been in touch with you? I know that the, defeated candidate, Jag Sahota, has called for an investigation. This is one of these kinds of things that, if investigated and found guilty, this Liberal MP could lose the seat. I mean, you will recall, because you're an engaged, informed voter, what happened to Dean Del Maestro, a Conservative who ended up going to jail for violating campaign, raising money in his campaign, so contributions that he wasn't supposed to get. So there are some pretty big penalties. Do you know that if this is being investigated?
Well, I know that, I've been told that Jag asked for an investigation. I've tried, but I've been so busy. I tried a couple of times to find out where I put it in. And now I have two daughters, and they've been investigating for me, and they sent me the link. So tomorrow I'm going to put in my challenge, and because I know where to send it now, and I will send them the video too. So.
What has the I know that they've probably seen it by now. I mean, if they're at all engaged in life, but what has the local reaction been? I mean, it's obviously making headlines right across this country. I mean, you're on my show talking about it with me. But what has the local reaction been to this?
Well, on my Facebook where I posted, I've had over 24,000 hits because I sent it out to my friends. I sent the video out to my friends. They sent it to their friends. Their friends.
I don't even have a people. I don't even have a people. I'm not a people.
Every day.
I'll give you 15 minutes on the fucking phone. I don't know which idiot it is, but if I was identifying a specific person, I would have used the term. Holy fuck, eh? No, that's serious, eh?
I'm looking at numbers.
I really don't want the police on my fucking door, eh? You understand that, right?
Get 134 reactions.
This is a brand new door.
I mentioned that. I said, I'd probably got 1,000. No.
If that door opens,
says,
I ain't got a choice.
He told me, he says, no, I've been adding them all up for you, and he says, you've got over 24,000. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And has the Liberal MP, I mean, his campaign manager has confirmed this happened, and has this Liberal MP spoken out?
He's never, nobody from the Liberal Party has come near me or said anything on that I've read, any of the comments or that. There's been some people that, commented, well, you just don't like Liberals. Well, I don't personally, but that's got nothing to do with him breaking the law, and he shouldn't. And I guess they're a supporter of his, but very few of them. Most of them just couldn't believe what he did, and he should pay for it one way or another. So.
Well, it is an allegation at this point, albeit the campaign manager admits it happened. But Glenn, we'll see where this takes us, and I'll thank you for making time out of the 24,000 people to chat with us here. And let's see where this takes us. But I appreciate your time.
Well, I'm originally from Toronto. I grew up there.
We're all that age.
Yes, I moved out.
That's how we are.
To Calgary in '75, and you know.
No, I still don't know for sure which one of these idiots it is.
The bus,
so.
And hopefully you guys will get back to boom sooner
rather
than later. But nonetheless, Glenn, very much appreciate your time, and we'll continue to follow this, and we'll follow up with you. Thank you very much.
And thanks for considering talking to me. I appreciate it. I'm glad it's hitting all across Canada.
Yes, it is. That's what happens when you go viral. That's Glenn Bennett,
so that's the same thing.
Is an
it doesn't tell me anything.
And I like to see that, but no question about it. This is getting a lot of attention, and no question about it. If you see the video, and I've tweeted it out at Alex Pearson AMP on my Twitter, it leaves little to the imagination. And so I don't see how Elections Canada does not investigate this. If they don't, then I'd be asking a lot of questions, but it doesn't matter who you are. You cannot touch another candidate. Nothing. You can't even, as a person, you can't go and take someone's sign. You can't do that. It's illegal. All right, we'll talk about this and all the other days' headlines. There is so much going on, including the leadership of Aaron O'Toole, which is, oh boy, it's getting super ugly. Why don't they demand this of other leaders? Like Jagmeet Singh, it's like, yeah, no problem. You can run 6 or 7 times. Keep trying. You're a nice guy. Conservatives, like, no, you're done. We'll talk about that and more. Stay with us. Round 1 of Counterpoint coming up in just a second here on Global News Radio.
Let's head out and get a check-in on the roads with Chopper Traffic. Here's Michael Damasio.
Slippery conditions out there.
A couple reported missing over the weekend. They released their photos, hoping someone remembers seeing them. Constable Maniva Armstrong tells 680 News the couple was expected to attend a gathering last Saturday, but didn't show up.
The gathering members attempted to contact them and were unable to have any sort of communication. They followed up to try and see if they were at the residence, and were unable to locate them there.
37-year-old Kwok Tran and 25-year-old Christy Nguyen were last known to be in the Highway 7 in Warden area at 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon. You can see their photos at 680news.com. Investigators say it's out of character for them not to contact family and friends. Vaccine deliveries to Canada are being paused because provinces already have more doses than they can currently use. Canada was to get 95 million from Pfizer and Moderna by the end of the month. The country already sitting on a stockpile of 18.7 million doses and doesn't need any more to fully vaccinate eligible people over the age of 12. Officials are currently working on plans to donate Canada's excess doses. Ontarians
back to COVAX or whatever, where we got them.
Can go ahead with their appointments. The Ontario Dental Association saying dental care is health care, so dentists will treat anyone no matter their vaccination status, and patients won't be asked. But the ODA does encourage anyone able to get the shot to do so. The association also saying under the Personal Health Information Protection Act, employees at dental offices don't have to disclose their vaccination status. But it adds, most dentists and their teams have been fully vaccinated. Coming up in 60 seconds, traffic and your extended forecast.
680 News Time, 820.
You're too sick to work, and your employer threatens to fire you because your claim for long-term disability benefits has been denied. Sound familiar? My name is Aaron Waxman, and if your disability claim has been denied for any reason, call me at 416.
Just in case anybody thinks I invented the fucking tax these people do. If this isn't racial, what is it? What is it? I think it's plainly out. Like, there's so many contradictions here. Oh, nobody cares. Nobody's watching, while the guy's screaming at me that he watches me every day, and I say this every day, and then I actually don't. So you're not watching every day. You think you are. So you're telling me like you're a stalker trying to intimidate me. And what was the other thing you said? I'm not going to go on and on about this dog thing because these crackheads, there's more than one dog in my life, and they're blending stories together with pieces that never happened. So the only time, so the police came once and fed my dog and then left. And then my aunt came and brought a whole bag of dog food and left. And the issue was the police arrested me while I had my dog on a leash and my aunt. And then we came back upstairs. My dog came in here. They locked the door. Perfect. And they asked me to contact information for an emergency contact for the dog, and I gave it to them. And then they didn't call it. Yeah, the police fucked up on that. Did the dog die? No. No, she's a staffy. They start whining when things are wrong. She would have basically been whining because I wasn't here. And that wouldn't have happened if they had called the number. So they didn't take her away. My aunt fed her and didn't take her with her because I made bail. So I was home like an hour later. And then, see, she passed away, but she passed away in a different fucking place. That didn't happen here. So she died at somebody's house. And she died. I said this while he was yelling on the phone. She died fat and happy, relatively old. 8 years isn't that bad for a dog. Because the bigger they get, the shorter the lifespan, basically. And she was abused horribly for the first 5 years by crackheads. She was abused horribly. And at one point, she was left in an apartment. She chewed her way through a door. So she had wood splinters and lead paint, just layers and layers and layers of lead paint. I don't know. This happened before I got her. She seemed to recover because she was like 27 pounds when I got her. And I forget what she was by the end. She was like 60, 80 pounds, something like that. I think 60, I think it was like 60 something pounds. So, and that's how you deal with people trying to intimidate and threaten you. Now, I don't know why this person's smashing on the door. I'm supposed to open it. Is this the same idiot that comes running up to me on the street going, "Fight me"? Like word for word, that's what this idiot said. "Fight me." This neighborhood's full of crackheads and methods. It's the West End of Toronto. It's the West End of Toronto. You could, if you somehow find yourself in an airport waiting area and you see Drake, just say, "Hey, man, I was just wondering," because I figure you would know. Are there really crackheads and meth heads running around 24/7 in Toronto? Yes, motherfucker. Yes, it's serious, honey. And they're fucked up like that bath salt shit.
We went the block, there's no place you can hide. Went the block, we went the block, see you in the afterlife.
It's very clear, Bill, as you can see what's going on. And if Elections Canada even looks at it, and he did this, which he has already been.
So I gave the guy 15 minutes. You heard what he had to say.
Because you can't touch other candidates' materials.
So I don't know how he's
you wonder
like.
how many more
I don't recognize that voice.
Did this happen to? Did it happen? Is this one of those fireable or chargeable offenses in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. He should be charged under the Elections Act. Whether it amounts to a rap on the knuckles, which is probably what he's going to get. But yeah, he should be charged. There's no justification. I don't care if there's misinformation on somebody else's pamphlet. Deal with that in another way, but you don't just come up. Because I watched the video. He walked up and he grabbed the pamphlet and put his own down. He didn't look at it. He doesn't know whether there was misinformation on that or not. It's a farce. That's his justification. Yeah, charge him under the Elections Act. Honestly, I think he should be turfed as the MP, but maybe I'm a little biased because he's Liberal and I'm more conservative leaning. But no, I think he should be charged and he should face the punishment for that.
Well, I mean, look, the last time this happened was, I think, in 2019, John. It involved Anthony Housefeather and a bunch of candidates in the Montreal area where they were they were found taking campaign material from apartment buildings and doors. Look, it is an offense, whether it's a laughable offense to some. But look, breaking Elections Canada rules got Dean Del Mastro put in jail. They went pretty hard on him, so it'd be interesting if they even bother to investigate this.
I cannot think of a campaign I ran in Canada. I remember being in Cherryville, out in an area.
You did cheat?
No, where we put up big signs, the really big monster signs they put up out west, all the way up a mountain. And we spent the whole night in the middle of the night putting them up. And then as we were driving back, every one of them had been set on fire. It was like tiki torches down the mountain. Every campaign I ran, whether it was the 905, the 416 out west, signs
You pissed somebody off?
Well, this isn't sign. This is someone's campaign material. We take it out of someone's mailbox.
That's like a 5-year offense.
This is not over-enthusiastic staffers. This is the candidates.
I agree. My point is simply this. We have a surveillance society now. I remember I used to call Elections Canada and the press and tell them this was happening, whether it was Clinton's campaign or Washington's campaign or NAPDP's, any of them. Happened all the time. Nobody ever did a thing about it. Maybe we're at a turning point because there's so many cameras out there.
I did. So anybody that follows along, you can find it if you follow the rabbit hole. I did post the diagnosis of sickle cell. You think I faked that? I posted that as a photo. I kept my personal shit out of it, but that's real.
We should be worried about so many other things that are wrong with our
Try to find a duplicate of that image. That's the original.
$620 million in election that wasn't necessary. Let's worry about that. Let's worry about, didn't Justin promise in 2016 to reform or restructure our electoral system? Hasn't done a thing about that.
Mixed member proportional, 2000 and...
I think actually maybe this is an example where you got on camera and it would be a real caution. It would be a real warning bell to people who do this sort of thing.
Somewhere between 2001 and 2009.
So I'm with you, Sergeant. Is he going to go to jail? No. Rapping the knuckles, probably. No criminal record, probably even. But it might be a sign of something better to come because this has been a problem for decades.
Really, thank you for telling us all the secrets. So we know that voter turnout was the second worst in Canada's history, and certainly the pandemic played a role. But Gerald Butts, Justin Trudeau's best friend for life and former principal secretary who resigned under the SNC scandal, took to Twitter to crow that, it's okay. He didn't have a problem with the lower vote turnout. In fact, he said vote efficiency isn't accidental at all. Quote, all 3 Trudeau Liberal campaigns were among the most efficient in Canada's history. He said, quote, micro-targeting of geographic and other subgroups of the electorate has become an important part of federal campaigns and that the Liberals played the game this time better than the opposition. So, Bill, here he is bragging about how they are micro-targeting certain electoral areas, and obviously it's all about getting the vote out. But, they're saying the Liberals played the game better than the opposition party. So do you see this, about a game better played or gaming the system?
Oh, shit, we missed the business.
Where do I start with this? Oh, my God. First of all,
why the Prime Minister wasn't contrite in his speech. Clearly, Mr. Butts wrote it for him.
It's not a flipping game. This is the future of the country. With all due respect to Mr. Mraz, who is a Liberal strategist, it is not a game. And yes, you can say, it's all about getting the most... How can Gerald Butts say
why do we have a drama teacher as possible?
They went out to win a majority, and they came back with virtually the same parliament that they had when they called the election. This is a failure right across the board, but it really angers me when I hear these people like Gerald Butts saying it's just a game and we're just better at playing this game. We come up with wedge issues. But I remember when elections actually had substantive issues on the table. When we talked about wage and price controls in the 70s, and I know I'm a grumpy old fart, I admit that. I remember in 1988 when it was all about free trade with the U.S. That was a substantive issue. Even Jean Chrétien, when he won in 92, he did it with his red book. He actually came out with substantive issues, a real platform that people could actually dissect and discuss and debate and vote on. Not stupid wedge issues. It's not a game. It's absolutely the future of the country. And for God's sakes, I wish people would take it seriously like that. Sorry, I'm a grumpy old fart and I just ranted. Go ahead, John.
No, I get it, but John, hold on. It is about getting the vote out, and the parties have to have a calculation, and then they do what they do. It's fine. The better party won, I guess, in his mind. But it's the arrogance about it, and if you wonder why people are cynical about politicians, it's because of crap like this.
Well, first of all, Bill, great rant. Agree with every single word you said. I have nothing to say about that. I mean, 1,000%. That was a disgusting thing to say. I'm no fan of Jerry Butts because I know that he does. He thinks all this is a large chess or checkers board, etc. Which leads me to a counterintuitive response.
Thank you.
Years ago in the National Post, maybe 15 years ago, I wrote a piece. I had been to Australia, and I was really impressed by their law that said everybody has to vote. It's the law. You got to vote. If you don't vote, you either pay a small financial fine, or you have to do a couple hours of community service, which is still the way it was when I was there. They get about 98, 99% turnout. You eliminate the gamesmanship, and it forces major parties to actually care about what every voter thinks, not just because the problem is, what Terry's not saying is, yeah, so you micro-target the people you know are going to vote Liberal for sure. You also make sure you don't remind or help anybody who's going to vote for not your candidate. And you even try to suppress, the way we're doing it right now, you try to suppress, make it difficult for voters. And we see that going to extremists in the states now when, the laws they're passing in states making it difficult to even get a voting card or the right to vote. It is easier to suppress a vote. It is easier to suppress a vote than it is to create one. So a lot of energy goes in these campaigns to making sure people who won't vote for you don't vote at all. I kid you not. So let's change the system. It's not just charter rights and freedoms and obligations. And one of them should be, you're a citizen, you gotta vote. You can go and cut up your ballot. You can go spoil it. You can vote for, Ninja Turtle Party, but you've gotta vote. And it changed things for much for the
I'd
better.
vote for the Ninja Turtle Party.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
that's going to be a pizza and skateboard party.
That, we force
Vanilla Ice will be there.
and lazy and dispassionate people from voting, because then they'll just vote for Bodie McBoseface. So we've seen how that turns out. Let me just pause it there, guys, and then we'll pick up the other part of this, which is the Arrow Tool struggles. His team trying to hold on to their jobs, and the knives are definitely out. But we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes, and of course vaccine mandates, and we'll talk about this judge granting bail to a man charged with first-degree murder. That's in round two. A counterpoint brought to you by our good friends over at Pizza.
That was what I was waiting for you to get to.
Alex Pearson with you on this very rainy.
And we get to Michelle in just a moment.
6 City News Time, 8:33. The man accused of first-degree murder in the death of Toronto Police Constable Jeffrey Northrup is now out on bail. 6 City's Mark Douglas has those details and reaction from both the Premier and Mayor Tory.
Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup was fatally struck by a car in the line of duty back on July 2nd, but despite the seriousness of the case and the first-degree murder charge, bail has been granted for 31-year-old Umar Zamir. President of the Toronto Police Association, John Reid, says the union is very disappointed in the justice system.
So this is the murder of a police officer. This is the murder of an officer who's out protecting the public. And in the course of his duties, he loses his life.
Premier Doug
198 grand. This motherfucker's heavy.
To get its act together, and bail in this case is beyond comprehension. Mayor John Tory says this shows the need
There's got to
for
be a
bail
video
reform.
or some shit.
Toronto Police Service sending out a statement that they are still saddened by Northrup's death, and bail is only one step
there's a
in
related
this long
theme here in
judicial
Ontario.
process.
There's a
The
kid
meter is
who
due back
got
in court
paralyzed because of what a cop
I'm
did.
Mark Douglas.
And still had serve time.
If you're heading out tonight or early tomorrow morning, be sure to bring an umbrella. Rainfall warnings have been issued for Toronto.
So the cop jumps in the window of this minivan and leans on the kid's knee. So his foot is on the gas and goes vroom. And the kid ends up serving time for this shit. And he's paralyzed. I think I found some information about this shit in.
Impressive amount of rain that we pick up across the GTA, but again, the bulk of the activity will be Wednesday evening into very early Thursday morning.
How many of these are there?
Areas west of the city could also experience some flooding.
And we'll check back in now with 6 City's Michelle Morton, who has more on police in Brampton who are investigating that fatal shooting and car fire, which is believed to be related. Peel police say they were called around 4:45 to a residence in the area of Airport Road and Countryside Drive for a shooting. Constable Donna Marie said when police got there, they found a man and a woman who were shot. The man died from his injuries, and the woman has been taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Marie says it's believed 3 suspects drove away from the scene, and shortly after, a vehicle fire was reported on Gladstone Square, about a 13-minute drive from the shooting.
When police arrived on scene, they did not locate anyone in the vehicle or surrounding the vehicle. At this time,
it was on fire. They got it on the
investigation. However, investigators do believe that this could possibly be related to the shooting.
Anyone who has information on any of these incidents is asked to contact police. I'm Michelle Morton.
680 News Time, 8:36. The NDP is apologizing for an ad mistaking two Tory MPPs. 680's Phil Martino.
I gotta look up these two
The
pictures.
NDP ad, which ran in April, has a photo of the Premier and MPP Sharif Sabawi on it. Here's where the problem is. The caption reads, Doug Ford and your MPP, Khalid Rashid, have paid sick days. Wrong MPP. The Ford government, in a statement, calls it a racially insensitive advertisement. Opposition leader Andrea Horvath says if there was any error, it was not done with any malice or any kind of racial bias.
If there was an error, what if it was on purpose?
The growing hate, the growing anti-Black racism and Islamophobia. In a statement, the NDP says back in April it produced graphics holding each PC MPP who voted against paid sick days to account. One of those graphics had a mismatched name and photo and was taken down. It goes on to say, we take responsibility for the mistake and regret any confusion it may have caused. I'm Phil Martino.
The Premier is asking for patience as today marks the first day of the province's vaccine passport system.
On day one of vaccine certificates, Ford here at Queen's Park said he's sympathetic to people who have concerns about them. And that's why he says they will only be temporary.
I want you to know that I hear you. And I truly believe
you said COVID's here to stay.
The best chance we have to get through this coming months.
I mean, what do you mean temporary? Everything's birth certificate's temporary.
This is a temporary and exceptional measure.
The death certificate's a bit more permanent.
These certificates for as long as they're needed and not one day longer.
But Ford didn't elaborate when I asked him what criteria would be used to signal the end of certificates.
Well, the criteria is going to be based on the advice I get from the chief medical officer. So I can't give you the exact date, Richard, but hopefully it'll be sooner than later.
Ford took questions from reporters today for just the second time in 8 months. We asked him where he's been.
I've been traveling from east, west, north, south. You know, I didn't want to get involved in this federal election.
It's the first time Ford acknowledged that the election was responsible for him laying low. At Queen's Park, I'm Richard Southern.
He's not supposed to get involved.
680 News Time, 8:38.
Jump on everything he says.
Breaking news from Spadina, Fort York, where former Liberal candidate Kevin Wong has taken
this is not
seat
okay.
after the
3 people got shot.
Despite calls for his
somebody won an election. Okay.
We heard this yesterday. The Liberals just days before the election after reports that he had not.
For the first 3 weeks of the campaign. And he sort of collapsed under pressure in the last week.
You said you were getting to the fucking...
Whether it was rightly or wrongly, they were ones that people want to discuss, whether it was automatic.
So long story short, the hands glow in the dark somehow, but I don't see the batons don't glow.
And some fabrications designed to corner him. He did not deliver. He did not box his way out of that corner. And if there was an opportunity to beat Justin Trudeau,
his seat in the House of Commons as an independent, which is
but you know what we want is the gas price.
Gas prices are next.
This is 680 News.
This year, McDonald's McHappy Day is September 22nd. And on McHappy Day, doing good is delicious.
It's
all day long, a portion of every purchase from anything on our menu goes to help sick children and their families stay closer together at Ronald McDonald houses across Canada. So whatever you love, Big Macs, Egg McMuffins, or fries, it all helps. Order McDelivery or visit us in restaurant and do some good. Join us on McHappy Day at McDonald's on September 22nd at participating restaurants in Canada. And the 680 News gas price update. And Pro predicts the price will not change at midnight, holding at just
1, 2, 3. Yeah, so basically, if you can see this video, I'm obviously not violating copyright too much.
680 News Time, 840.
And as long as I don't edit out,
Family can't wait to see you again.
I don't know how to put this. There's certain things if I don't edit out or if I
from wherever you can get a signal.
The only way for me to comment on this is in real time. There's no other way for me to do it.
It's a get in and go event at Rockville Toyota. Get lease or finance rates as low as 0.49% on select models. Plus cash
Are you going to tell us about this shooting or not?
Someone who doesn't produce results instantly for them, Bill. But the thing is, they can produce results. They can, raise all the scandals, dig into that Winnipeg lab story that the Prime Minister never wanted to come out. There's so much stuff, COVID response money. All these things are going to come out. But if they're mired in these fights behind the scenes with leadership, they won't be focused on doing what they're supposed to do, which is working for the public.
I don't know that the Liberals always cannibalize their leaders. They certainly did it with Andrew Scheer. They got rid of him in a hurry. But I don't think they have time to bring in somebody else as another leader if the next election is going to be in the next 2 years. I think that would be a very dangerous move unless you bring.
I think I've probably got a few minutes. Come on, play button work. We're not getting anywhere with this. Machine, come on. You got flashy lights and noises. Come on, let's do this. Okay, so if this is paused, is this play?
Internet. I'm flexing on the internet.
I just want you to think of how these crackheads think, or whatever drug they're on. The reason I'm getting away with copyright violation is because I'm too retarded to know I'm violating copyright. Just think about that. That's the reasoning in whoever this guy is.
Come and see me, real life shit. Different day, that mean a different fit. I feel it fit for me to feel like this. Bitches to me for the intellect. Flexing now, but homie, check it out. Remember, I know.
You've got a sad story. That's a sad story. Come on. This one's too prevalent. Hold on. This is a Casio edifice. I believe it's EF539 module 5118. There's some about a smartphone app. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This phone's older than Bluetooth. Or this. Shit, I only ate part of that. What shows?
Double up.
I think this is the harsher one. You got like 2 seconds on my skip it. They call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Let's play this one this way so you guys can see it.
Raise your hands if you're going insane. If you're feeling so depressed you want to blow out your brains, and you've been to darker places you won't try to explain, but still you try to keep it moving. We used to get high like trucks on lift kits. Then I woke up and I said, fuck this shit. I made a promise to my probably the same. We used to get high like trucks on lift kits. Then I woke up and I said, fuck this shit. I made a promise to myself, mad rip shit. Slide through your verse like a Tokyo drift. From being at the doctors on pills like please help me. To be shame pop pills, they'll make your brain rot. Quit now, I'm back conquering like gangers. Come on tour, fucking horse like Bango. With mad chop walks, people mad chop looks. I swear to God I should be getting all the pills I took, but I'll be okay. When I'm on the mic, I like to speak. And whether that I am going crazy, I should see a shrink, but I'll be okay. Yeah, when I'm on the mic, I like to speak.
We're invincible, the hereditary, and by the looks of you, you wouldn't do penny. I'm not a fan of you, but you be looking too friendly. Back the fool from out the back, you try to disrespect me. I will tell you that you read this past.
Those are really disturbing how when you look back, especially because
it's on Twitter or social media, but it certainly caught everyone's attention. Roald Dahl.
Friday afternoon. It's currently 13 degrees at Pearson, 15 downtown, and tonight's overnight low is 14 degrees. And coming up,
but it's 13 already.
The very latest on a shooting in Brampton that left one man dead and a woman in hospital. And ousted Liberal MP Kevin Wong has been named the official winner.
Ergocentric office chairs are recommended by 94% of ergonomists. And ergocentric chairs are made right here in Ontario. To learn more, please visit Ergocentric in the Square One Shopping Center. Ergocentric, the science of sitting.
Adams City News 680. Learn more now at 680news.com.
The business report is next.
Now, while Pearson scored low in the J.D. Power study, another study earlier this year by the Airports Council awarded YYZ the best airport award in North America, so I guess it kind of depends who you're listening to. All right, meantime, interesting story as regards Netflix. They're hoping their latest acquisition will be a golden ticket. Netflix is buying Ronald Dahl Story Company. It means the streaming giant will own creations like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The British fiction author Ronald Dahl wrote that, along with other famous stories like The Fantastic Mr. Fox and James and the Giant Peach. Netflix reported Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Netflix stock was up 3% to 500 and
cardio at a new game-changing price. The original Peloton bike, now $600. Got in a minor fender bender. Since you can't, you can submit a claim. Since you can't, you can submit a claim on the.
Do you need insurance? Do you need a divorce attorney? Do you need insurance? Do you need a divorce attorney? Do you need a criminal attorney? Do you need a prepaid?
Sleep, nigga, we all one. Don't matter who it is, done to get the job done. On the same shit, with the same click. Never gonna change, no nigga, only change trouble. And the play, but only if it's fucking fucking up. Place a aim the niggas above the bottom. Hard in the paint, no patch of fucking hoes. Repatch a clip, that to get racket over the hot shit. It's a still never a 9 to 5, cause I ain't got no day job. I didn't think I was capable. 4 or 5 pipe on radio, it isn't traceable. You niggas go around something like a flat tire. Aim a fire at your back, it will be backfire. Cause my gas is serial, scratch up on my actions. Something madness, I'm reeling up, getting cut into your job. Now I'm running by them clothes. I ain't doing wrong, but I'm clear blood strong till it drops on my heart.
In response to the situation, the city with a population of 10 million went into semi-shutdown immediately after reporting new locally transmitted COVID-19 cases for the first time since February. Also, local authorities swiftly told its residents to avoid leaving town unless offline classes at all kindergartens, primary schools, and high schools for a week from Wednesday. Local authorities announced that the city will carry out a full round of nucleic acid tests.
Indoor playgrounds and gyms are among the places that have been ordered to close to prevent the spread of the virus. Tourist spots have also been asked
areas where the prevention and the control management is strengthened, including mass testing and traffic control.
That was Guo Tianqi reporting. A study conducted by researchers from 2 universities in China say it's highly likely that COVID-19 began spreading in the United States well ahead of the date announced for the first confirmed case in the country. The researchers selected 12 regions in the U.S. for analysis and say the first cases probably emerged between August and October of 2019. The first confirmed case in the country was announced in December of 2019.
You hear him clearing his throat.
Coming up, COVID vaccine also concluded that the spread of the virus in China was likely to have begun in late December of 2019.
Health authorities are using China's CanSino COVID-19 vaccine, given that the single-dose inoculation makes the logistics of fully vaccinating the adults who need it.
We are going to have to learn to live with this because the virus is here to stay. Things won't be like they were before.
Through running. The group that is open to anyone meets once a month and explores a different Asian American neighborhood at the end of each run.
Perhaps in this group setting,
Through running.
The group, that is open to
I don't
anyone,
like that
meets
association,
once a
Lindsay.
month
That's
and
a little
explores a different Asian American neighborhood at the end of each run.
Perhaps in this group setting as an introduction to that neighborhood, we will allow you to feel more future. If you're not running with us, you might just go back and visit because you discovered like
Town neighborhoods became ghost towns early in the pandemic. While hate crimes rose dramatically.
One of the more brazen attacks occurred at this intersection in Manhattan's Chinatown in February 2021. A 36-year-old Asian American man was stabbed in the back in broad daylight, mere blocks from the headquarters of the New York Police Department.
That incident turned Lowe into an activist.
it was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I was really tired of feeling helpless and scared and sad, and I needed to find an outlet to sort of take back some power and some ownership. And that's really sort of the catalyst that started Chinatown Runners.
The pandemic also motivated Leland Yu, who grew up in Manhattan's Chinatown.
Catalyst that started Chinatown Runners.
The pandemic also motivated Leland Yu, who grew up in Manhattan's Chinatown, to start a runners group. Run for Chinatown has raised tens of thousands of dollars for his neighborhood to start a runners group. Run for Chinatown has raised tens of thousands of dollars for his neighborhood's businesses. He says it's no surprise that runners are supportive of causes.
We like to say all paces, all races. I think the running community is world just in the past year.
Runners in Canada and many European cities have
loving sport community there is. Since I've entered this world just in the past year.
It sounds a bit naive or optimistic. I think most people are genuinely good, and what we really need to do to build empathy and compassion for each other is to get to know each other. And that's kind of the whole point of Chinatown Runners, is to get to know communities and bridge those cultural gaps.
That was Karina Hubert reporting. Sri Lanka is starting to offer COVID-19 vaccines to children aged between 12 and 19 who have chronic illnesses or are living with disabilities. The country's health authorities say the children will receive the Pfizer vaccine. Delta variant in Colombo is the epicenter of this latest outbreak. So far, Sri Lanka has vaccinated half of its population. Confirmed infect candidates to be Germany's next chancellor are talking about their plans for government spending.
The Beijing Hour. The Beijing Hour.
The China and the rest of the world. A mix of news, sports, and entertainment. In-depth analysis of the day's big stories, as well as the most comprehensive business of the day. The Beijing Hour. Beijing Hour. Your very own window to China and the rest of the world.
Funds to promote more investment. Others have maintained their stance on balance
as much as possible.
Regeln müssen eingehalten werden. The rules must be respected. They must be checked. Their failure must be acted upon.
But the COVID-19 pandemic has forced Angela Merkel's government
to include far less. Most businesses say they are back on track, and next year's federal budget is likely to include far less of a shortfall. It's not yet clear if the debt
staff at El Paso's Planned Parenthood office. It has been a challenging couple of years. That the focus is on providing patients with as much support, education and resources as possible. Anti-abortion forces in El Paso see the development as a big win. Mark Seitz is bishop for the Catholic Diocese of El Paso.
Ultimately, abortion really, if you dig deep down, it's not a question of women's rights. It's a question of the right of every human being from the time they begin to be within their mother until the time they die.
Abortion is healthcare. Abortion is essential.
Pro-choice activists in the state are angry. So is the Biden administration. The Justice Department has launched a lawsuit against Texas. Many more legal challenges are expected as well, as several other states are eyeing similar restrictive moves. The implications of what's happening here in Texas.
And then we heard about another gas station application several miles away, and then another one in Santa Rosa. And we began to realize that these gas stations are popping up all over the place. And we thought there shouldn't be new gas stations being built in 2021
In fewer than 6 months, the group's effort has produced major results. Sonoma County's Regional Climate Protection Authority just adopted a resolution urging the county and all of its cities to prohibit the construction of new gas stations.
The reality is gasoline sales in California have been essentially flat for the last 10 years. And in fact, the governor has issued an executive order ending the registration of new gas-powered cars in California by 2035. So if I were a gas station developer, I would be looking at this stuff and thinking twice.
Congas is also helping to mentor the next generation. High school students like Alicia Koresh
they just
and
want to move
Emily
it to the
Vitt,
street as quick as
who
possible.
start American Canyon, which has had temporary moratoriums on building new gas stations.
It's important that we start reducing our carbon footprint now, because I'm only 17 years old. And we really don't have that much time since it's already starting to affect us.
Climate change after wildfires destroyed the homes of 2 friends and forced her grandparents to evacuate.
We actually found out that transport
products under construction that will be delivered soon.
Giants like Jiangnan Shipyard, and more are coming. Smaller companies dedicated to marine research are also moving here. There are already some 15 small-sized enterprises in this industrial park.
Large vessels sail out into sea from Changxing Island, but we purchase vessel parts from all over the world. So it takes a long time to form a complete industrial chain.
You need railroads
Those marine
going out to
research
like Norway
centers
and
moving
stuff.
here, that can become easier. I've been here for 3 years, and Changxing has already changed a lot.
Changxing Island is a part of Shanghai's Chongming district. It's where the Yangtze River flows into the East China Sea. It's also the closest island to Shanghai's city center. Oceanographic industry's continued development.
Just recently, the local government decided to dedicate at least $7 million every year to turn Changxing Island into a center.
He has every confidence of a trade deal with the United States. Boris Johnson made the remarks following may once again be able to export lamb to the U.S. as a ban on such exports is expected to be lifted. Johnson said when he was campaigning for Brexit in 2016 that an overarching exports is expected to be lifted. Johnson said when he was campaigning for Brexit in 2016 that an overarching trade deal with the U.S. would be one of the great prizes of Britain's departure from the European Union. Beijing today getting a slight rainfall, 26 degrees for a high, a low of 17. Chongqing's clouding 34, the low is 24. Laos is getting cloudy skies on the day and 20 degrees with a low of 10. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the Chinese foreign minister says the country will continue to uphold and doses to rural and remote populations. And candidates to be the next chancellor of Germany are taking different stands on how to manage the country's spending. Rural and remote populations. And candidates to be the next chancellor on the Beijing Hour.
The Beijing Hour. The Beijing Hour.
Of what can happen when we don't. The previous election, as you mentioned, I mean, there was clear foreign interference or efforts to influence the outcome of the election, both by by Chinese state media, Chinese diplomats, and outcomes in specific ridings out in British Columbia. And we weren't prepared. We stood up at the last minute. We stood up some committees to defend our elections, and clearly those weren't enough because the foreign interference operations continued, and also take advantage of that. And it's only a matter of time. So there is a very significant and serious threat to the lack of attention that we pay to these areas. And it's
off, but that will clear up any minute now. If you are heading out on the westbound 403, traffic spotters reporting ponding in the left lane from the QE merge in Burlington towards the Lincoln Hamilton. So avoid
There's a guy fishing.
The left lane from the QE merge in Burlington towards the Lincoln Hamilton. So avoid
There's a guy
lane
fishing and some ducks
and
swimming
on the
around.
eastbound Gardner, we have a crash approaching Jameson. A right lane is currently blocked off
Hey,
due
what'd
to
you
a
say about
collision.
Jameson?
You've got delays approaching Parkside because of this. On city streets, we have a number of issues as well. The intersection of Bathurst and Spadina with no traffic lights functioning, and southbound 3 at Arrow Furniture's Fall in Love with Your Space event. Limited time only, conditions apply.
Shooting at a residence in Brampton. We believe there were other people in there, but however, we can't. Drive area around 4:45, and police believe the 3 suspects drove away from the area. Marie says shortly after, a car fire was reported nearby. Any or who they were.
Constable Donna Marie says it happened in the Airport Road and Countryside Drive area around 4:45.
We'll take a break. This cold front has been moving so slowly, it essentially just stalled out over us and has really brought a lot of rain to the GTA. That's why those rainfall warnings are still in place. But as this system pulls away tomorrow, we'll start to lose some of the shower activity by tomorrow afternoon. Carl says we'll see drier conditions for Friday, but the rain will make its return for the weekend.
I need a dryer right now. This one's so wet. I was out there. It rained all day.
60 News Traffic Center in Carlin W. Collision on the westbound 401 approaching the 427. Only the right lane getting through. Delays from approaching Dixon. Traffic almost 680 traffic watch continues. 680 News Time. 680 News Time, 9:37. And we have great.
From getting her lunch because she doesn't have her, her QR code on her smartphone. So I think there's going to be real problems with enforcement. Not to mention that just sort of contraindications or bad reactions to the first shot that are beyond those.
You kind of start to get to see your freedoms back that you've lost and follow the rules.
Yeah, there's a general sense that people are willing to make this substantial trade-off, as you say.
Westbound collectors at White's Road.
That's 198 grams, it says. And then it seemed to suggest that it took some sort of specific battery, but I don't know. I'm going to find a jeweler. On it is a...
That's a makeover, 2 to 5 for a Q. The rest rock hustlers, mine say won't sleep till I knock it. And don't push me, cause I ain't in the top. Yeah, 4-year-old fool, so I ain't scared if you got.
And it's not done every day.
Issues related to the evidence that's anticipated in trial, it can have a very detrimental effect on the trial process, which is not good for somebody who's seeking a conviction, not good for somebody who's saying that they're innocent. We have to remember the integrity of the process is most important. We do not want to be the United States of America. An intelligent judge who took her time to render this decision, and we should respect it for now. We're getting here. It's just ill-informed. And in this case, yes, the first-degree murder. You're absolutely right, Alex. It's exceptional, and it's exceptional because there's probably deficiencies to the evidence. An ankle monitor so that he can go do his accounting job, and that's it. This guy who's been out on it, released before on gun charges, it's a different scenario and a different context in my opinion.
I've only got about 40 seconds, but Joe, I know I'm putting you on the spot a little
7
bit.
minutes.
But, if charges were going to be reduced, how quickly would that happen? And if the judge has already seen this and put bail already on the table, so I mean, if we're going to see a reduction in charge.
6%, gold higher to 1,778 the ounce. Cannabis stocks puffed higher. Canopy Growth up 4.5%. Silver up 3.5%. BlackBerry in with earnings. Anthony Akoli, TD Bank.
BlackBerry had a beat on revenue as well as better than expected earnings. They did report a loss of 6 cents per share. BlackBerry had a beat on revenue as well as better than expected earnings. They did report a loss of 6 cents per share.
Canada. Publication banned. It's all over the news.
Edward Hotel showroom and stores. Or our newest location in the Square One shopping phase. Fall annuals and decor are here. Sheridan Nurseries has everything you need to spice up your garden with farm fresh mums, pumpkins, corn stalks, and more. In store now. Sheridan Nurseries. Never stop growing.
Rainfall warning continues for the GTA right now in Richmond Hill.
This time, it is early on in the
Richmond Hill.
investigation. However, investigators do believe that this could possibly
was found dead at the scene. Police say a vehicle was seen fleeing the area. A man accused of killing a Toronto police officer says his client has been granted bail. Umar Zamir faces 1 count of first-degree murder in the death of Constable Jeffrey Northup. The 55-year-old officer died.
Have to be fully vaccinated in order to run. A BC Party spokesperson later clarified that medical exemptions will be allowed.
Checking your forecast from the Global News Weather Center, a rainfall warning remains in effect across southern Ontario. Rainfall heavy at times overnight.
dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay, angry. This is a different fucking guy.
Great to have you with us.
He's not even going to talk about it.
Happy fall. Yes, it's fall. Which
A shooting in Brampton has left one man dead and another person in hospital.
6 Cities' Michelle Morton joins us with the latest, including the search for at least 3 suspects. One man is dead and a woman has been taken to hospital after a shooting at a residence in Brampton.
We believe there were other people in there, but however, we can't confirm how many or who they were.
Constable Donna Marie says it happened in the Airport Road and Countryside Drive area around 4
Other people in there, but however, we can't confirm how many or who they were.
Constable Donna Marie says it happened shortly after a car fire was reported in the Airport Road and Countryside Drive area around 4:45, and police believe the 3
just show me
suspects
one that
drove
looks
away
like
from
this.
the area.
Fuck.
The murder charge bail has been granted for 31-year-old Umar Zamir. President of the Toronto Police Association, John Reid, says the union.
Sadie News, former Liberal candidate Kevin Bwong has won the Spadina-Fort York seat amid growing calls for his resignation. Bwong was dumped by the Liberals days before the election after MP Nathaniel Erskine-Smith tweeting Bwong should act with integrity and step down, while Ontario Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca called on him to examine his conscience and to not take his seat in the House of Commons as an independent.
In 30 seconds, we'll check on the price of gas.
680 News Time, 10:09.
This is 680 News.
Hey, it's Dean Cebulski from Willdale Nissan. We've joined forces again with High Park Nissan and Willdale Nissan. We've joined forces again with High Park Nissan and Newmarket Nissan for the All-In Zeroed event. Lisa 2021 Nissan Sentra.
Shuffle yesterday, and somehow the Premier was able to convince his caucus not to vote. There's stories that they were prepared to vote as long as it was a secret ballot, but they wouldn't vote publicly, or in front of him. And now we carry on as we were before this. He is still the premier. We have a new health minister, but no new direction, and the situation.
Let's step back for a moment. Explain for
the Progressive Conservative Party and the Wild Rose, they probably would have been reelected. So Jason Kenney found his way from federal politics back to the province of Alberta and ran to be leader of both the Progressive Conservatives and the Wild back, and take a deep breath and think about this rationally, as satisfying as it would be whether they want to do the same amount or more, and they can't agree on that. So it would have been a very difficult transition and a distraction, frankly, from whether they want to do the same amount or more, and they can't agree on that. So it would have been a very difficult transition and a distraction, frankly, from dealing with this really significant public health crisis.
Dealing in 399-9898, Richard Kluche with you. Stay with us. We'll return later. We'll talk
by completing a free digital needs assessment. Start today to get access to tools and mentorship to digitally transform your business and gain a competitive advantage. And up to $50,000 value free. Visit .com today. That's
Under the Personal Health Information Protection Act, employees at dental offices don't have to disclose their status as well, but adds most dentists and their teams have been fully vaccinated. Coming up in 60 seconds, traffic and your extended forecast is 680 News.
That's actually it right there.
Visit Modern Solution.
Election campaign, that was his choice. Justin Trudeau had nothing to do with it.
Leaders have to lead. And in cases where there's crisis, and this is war against, and for those that don't understand, unfortunately, the pandemic, and at times you have to use extraordinary measures to get your point, and now vaccine passports. And for those that don't understand, unfortunately, there's a price to be paid there. I think that you look
20,401. Investors like what they heard from the U.S. Central Bank. The Fed signaled it may begin easing its support measures for the U.S. economy later this year. Didn't give an exact date, and I guess that the U.S. Central Bank has been buying 120 billion. Rates also held steady. Another big worry for the market is easing a bit in that a troubled Chinese property developer Evergrande is said to be able to make its debt payment that's coming due tomorrow. So all that kind of helped exchanges move higher. its debt payment that's coming due tomorrow. So all that kind of helped exchanges move higher. On Wall Street, Alibaba up 6.6%, General Motors up 2.8%. To the downside in New York, Federal
has earned over 50,000 five-star reviews nationally, and why we always take precautions to ensure your safety. So if you're frustrated with lingering plumbing issues like a leaky faucet, running toilet, or slow drain, call Reliance. Conditions apply. $50 off regular price on repairs over $200. Apply. $50 off regular price on repairs over $200.
CNC's Global News, I'm Toby Kerr. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says he wants to make a childcare deal.
Supposed to die a natural death, which is returning to the stage next year. Van Peebles influenced everyone from Spike Lee to John Singleton. And of course, his actor-director son, Mario. Moonlight director Barry Jenkins writes on Twitter that Van Peebles every second.
Workers and students who put together vaccineontario.ca, a website used to find vaccination appointments. Compatible with the Apple operating system. And if you are not all that tech savvy, Ontarians can also print out a copy of their vaccination record. Libraries and
frustrating, challenging, nerve-wracking. There's so many adjectives I'd like to use. It's been a long day. Challenging, nerve-wracking. There's so many adjectives I'd like to use. It's been a long day.
Morning, so it is going to be a slinger, but again, some flooding concerns and ponding and pooling making for some treacherous conditions. Please adjust.
This happened near Midway and Columbus Road just before 8:15 tonight. A suspect
shooting in the area of Airport Road and Countryside Drive around 4:45.
Police located 2 victims believed to be suffering from gunshot wounds. An adult female was transported to local hospital in non-life-threatening condition. And despite efforts of paramedics and emergency personnel, an adult male had succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased on scene.
Constable Donna Marie says possibly 3 suspects drove away from the scene. We have no details on ages or descriptions of victims or suspects. Less than an hour on fire shortly after, and it's believed to be related to this shooting. Marie says no one was in the vehicle. Police are asking anyone with information to contact them. I'm Michelle Morton.
Here with All News Radio 680 News at 10:38. The votes have been counted. Kevin Wong officially winning the seat in Spadina, Fort York, while calls for his resignation continued to grow, including for those who voted for him. The Liberal Party had dropped Wong just 2 days before the election, that he had failed to disclose details of a sexual assault case that he had faced that were later dropped in 2019. Wong announced he was running as an independent, however, also acknowledging not everyone would be happy with his election. Toronto Liberal MP Nathaniel Erskine-Smith tweeting Wong should act with integrity and step down. Ontario Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca also calling on Wong.
A California judge says Scott Peterson must be resentenced for the 2002 murder of his pregnant wife, Lacey.
It was a trauma of Lacey and their unborn son, Connor. California Supreme Court overturned the death sentence in 2020 because of a juror issue that surfaced. Since the sentence was overturned, Peterson has been living on death row without a sentence. Now a judge saying he will be resentenced in November when he'll get life in prison. Peterson has maintained his innocence all along, and his attorneys want a whole new trial. Alex Stone, EBC News.
We'll check gas prices next. Lighting is one of the most important.
All new 2021 models and our unlimited mileage warranty standard on all new Mazdas. Connect to the drive. Visit your local Mazda dealer or Mazda.ca for details.
1041. That's time for traffic and weather together.
Larry Isaac is with us. He is president of the Firkin Group of Pubs. He's based out of Markham, Ontario. You can join the conversation right now at 877-399-9898. Have you been using your vaccine passport? Do you like the idea?
Signal's not working. Make sure you treat those as 4-way stops. And temperatures tonight go as 13.
From part-time to president, cubicle to corner office.
9 months and only $17.95 down, plus a prepaid maintenance plan at no extra cost at High Park Nissan, Willowdale Nissan, and Newmarket.
Kevin Wong has officially won the Spadina Fort York riding. He will now sit as an independent in the House of Commons.
Protecting the public, and in the course of his duties, he loses his life.
Reid and Mayor John Tory pointing out how rare it is to get bail on any first-degree murder charge. Premier Doug Ford tweeting
to live
otherwise. But from what I'm hearing from politicians, from what I'm hearing to other people, from what I'm hearing of the fear about how we're going to be dealing with people, it's just unfortunate. All of this, what's been happening here, is very unfortunate. But the other side of what I've been seeing as I've been working all throughout COVID is the people coming together and helping each other, which
can be hate. So when people stay in your office, you know, there's a lot of messaging out there that is frightening for people, and I understand that. I mean, we're in the front lines of this, seeing customers all the time. But at the same time, at some point in time, and I think we're 19 months into this, at some point in time, we have to put the economy back on its feet. We're looking for the government to help the hardest hit industries, helping people get back to work, making sure that the economy gets back on its feet properly. There's a massive debt being created by the government right now, and at some point in time, somebody's going to have to pay that debt. So, aided by the government right now, and at some point in time, somebody's going to have to pay that debt. So I think there's a lot of
to a great sleep, to plush pillows and
right, because we can't sleep. That's why we're listening to the news at night, because we can't sleep.
Down queen mattress that contours to your hips and shoulders for only $5.79. The GTA looking at rain in Richmond Hill this hour, 13 degrees, same conditions in
Lane again, so just watch off. We had northbound Bathurst at Ulster, north of College blocked.
Michelle Morton has the story.
One man is dead and a woman has been taken to hospital after a shooting at a residence in Brampton. We believe there were road and Countryside Drive area around 4:45, and police believe 3 suspects shortly after a car fire was reported nearby on Gladstone Square and no one was in the vehicle. Police believe it's related to the shooting. No one was in the vehicle. Police believe it's related to the shooting.
We are reaching out to the public and the neighbors. If they have any information, if they heard or seen anything, if they have videos, if they have video surveillance or data.
And they do it day in, day out. They've been doing it beyond comprehension. Mayor John Tory tweeting out, "This shows the need for bail reform." A statement from Toronto Police says this decision is only one step in a long judicial process. The Electronic Tracker. I'm Mark Douglas.
House of Liberal MP Kevin.
And that still affects people's lives.
You know, you and I spoke about this the other day when we talked about the fatalities in the U.S. now reaching what they did during the 1918 pandemic. And I think that is exactly the thing. We've lost
the same percentage or the same absolute number?
Certainly, we know people that are vulnerable, that are in higher age groups. They would likely need that third dose. So we still have to understand that they may have concerns in regards to this transmission. So I think, again, if we're doing it fast enough. But listen, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So I think people are attuned to this. Certainly, our health in this country, Jason. And certainly my peers, it's hard when you see the protests and you hear some of the messages. But we need to get those people on our side, and I think, frankly, we have to figure out a way to be able to communicate with them in a way that.
Jason Kinderchuk is with us from the University of Manitoba. If you have a comment or a question for him, 877-399-9898, 877-399-9898. Richard Kluche with you. Please stay with us.
It's the online auction with vehicles anyone can afford. NorthTorontoAuction.com. Don't be afraid to buy.
I don't know if I want to buy one of those cars.
72-hour buyback on great Saturday at 9 a.m. It's 300
the conversation was just getting
power
good.
washers to heavy-duty trucks. It's simple to browse and bid. Register online or get a pro subscription. North Toronto Auction has something for everyone.
Register online.
Register online or get a pro subscription. North Toronto Auction has something for everyone.
Register online or get
the time is now. The time is now to open new doors, create new connections, and reveal untapped.
He has been searching the entire world for the perfect person to run Spence Diamonds. Do I talk now, Michael? Not yet, Callum. I'll tell you when. And we finally found the perfect person in Scotland. Now?
On the road sign, 11:20.
To be quiet. So I can't get into the specifics.
Prioritize what needs to be done and what can be safely stretched longer to far unvaccinated, and our hospitals are struggling to keep up.
And that's I don't have a lot of advice anymore, Richard. Unfortunately, my advice to them is certainly everybody's empathetic to that, right? I think we're all feeling this. Certainly, for me, there are a lot of days where it's pretty depressing when you read through and you look at what's going on. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Même si on a le brevet, on n'est pas sûr de convaincre.
We need to do some good.
680 News Time, 11:30. For those responsible.
Announced it, Liberal MP has won the.
You didn't mention the one in Brampton. You see how quickly they moved to the next story? It's like a conveyor belt. Just keep it moving.
Consumer insights firm J.D. Power says labor shortages help lead to lower scores for food, beverage, and
Morning continues for Toronto and the GTA this hour. We're also seeing several pockets of major power outages. More on that in a moment.
First, let's go live to the 680 Weather Center and our meteorologist, Carl Evans, watching. Out of Mississauga tonight, a shooting near Dixie and Derry Roads has left one man dead. Field Constable Heather Cannon said officers were called to the area of Midway and Columbus just before 8:15 for reports. A man had been shot.
So we get the latest from 680's Michelle Morton. One man is dead and a woman has been taken to hospital after a shooting at a residence in Brampton.
We believe there were other people in there, but how investigators?
I'm Michelle Morton.
The man accused of first-degree murder in the death of a Toronto police constable is now out on bail.
Leading, non-leading politicians, all just putting their finger up to the wind and seeing which way the wind blows. They were all completely fine with those protests because they weren't.
Yes, nigga. Learn take. Free Slim. Be out here. Don't get close. He said that's your steel unstolen. Serial structure. All my actions. Stop the madness. I'm reeling up. Here you go. Flow back on my bullshit. These punks that I grew with. Acting like you're too sick, too slow. Cash making me ever switch sides. Or rapper to the J. Someone's got my guns fried. My mind's fried. See, I don't give a
I forgot to take myself off mute during the commercial, so that I don't think you're.
There you go. Go ahead.
I can tell you that caller was so wise and so astute. And I think there's an important message. We're so busy in the country that pits people against each other. Death, but I'm a very healthy man. But I have a real problem with this idea that I'll have to get a Pfizer booster shot every 6 months so that I can go to a movie. Pfizer accounts.
Also helping the mood was the U.S. Central Bank, which said it would gradually ease its bond purchases towards the end of the year. Didn't give an exact date for that.
Is 680 News. This is Thursday, September 23rd. Good morning. I'm Scott.
Today, we'll warm up into the mid-teens, and then we have a drier day tomorrow coming our way, and there's a little more sunshine on the way as well. Right now, it's 12 at Pearson, 13 at 16.
Haven't had a chance to speak with our officers. We do have a command center set up. If anybody has information and they haven't had a chance yet to speak with officers.
A suspect car seen leaving the area, but police are still working on a description.
Meantime, a man has died after he was shot in Brampton when
police say there was a car on fire shortly after, and it's believed to be related to this shooting. Maurice says no one was in the vehicle. Police are out at City Hall, is now out on bail.
Toronto Police Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup killed in the line of duty of first-degree murder.
While calls for his resignation continue to grow, the Liberal Party had dropped Wong just 2 days before the election after it was reported that he had failed to disclose details of a sexual assault charge that he was facing.
What are the details? Oh, you can't tell us because it was dropped. Are the details? Oh, you can't tell us because it was dropped. So I'm a little confused.
At the Spadina Fort York polling station had him listed as a Liberal on election day.
3D aspects of it, so it gets harder and harder to unlock that. But at the same time, if you change your appearance, if you wear glasses, if you start growing a beard, sometimes that can, make it difficult for it to recognize.
Never switch, and I'ma get the chicken. Crime pays, that's my way. Try to tell them, but they never listen. Fuck that.
Security issues that for Microsoft, this is good business for them.
I think they've changed. We saw all these tech companies move to what they call a SaaS model, software as a service. So back in the day, Richard, you might remember
you were trying to sell us that for a long time, back in the antitrust lawsuit days.
5-10 years. Well, as they use and navigated to software as a service where you pay an annual fee, one of the benefits.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
What is this?
Good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good.
Really the best way for us to keep things secure. And you kind of mentioned of, living in this like Tom Cruise kind of movie where we unlock the doors with our eyes. I kind of see that
government gives you a satellite because they know what your DNA smells like.
Smart locks where if you have your phone, you can automatically unlock. That is really the best way for us to keep things secure. And you kind of mentioned of, living in this like Tom Cruise kind of movie where we unlock.
I would like to vote for the simple fingerprint thing where you could even say, okay, right forefinger, left forefinger, thumb, doesn't matter. You put that into the machine and the computer screen or whatever. And that,
yeah, and John, we get your point. And Andy, it's useful unto the point someone cuts your finger.
Get it to somebody's bank account.
Oh, I've seen those movies already, my friend.
Yeah, so that's the most extreme way of trying to get into your accounts, but it has really shown to be a great way to authenticate ourselves. And it's that we use on basically a day-to-day basis.
It's the best way, but somehow I feel that wouldn't it be great from a voice recognition technology, because we're talking to each other right now, that we can be far more attentive to our needs. And I think that's going to happen in the years to come too.
Yeah, all my devices.
Yes, all these voices.
Gotta keep both hands on the wheel.
Liberals in June after a public spat with Green Party leader Amy. As it's time members of every party work together.
That I bring, and I can't wait to see everyone again and to be able to do that and to deliver for Fredericton.
With Adwin's win, the Liberals captured 6 of New Brunswick. With a nice name for the street there, where the flooding begins, River. Makes a lot of sense right now. Friday Harbor Streets, so Sunset Bayview has been closed at River for a stretch, and this is for flooding. What a
Vehicle last seen fleeing the area. However, we don't have any descriptions and or suspect information at this point. Anyone with information is being asked to come from hospital, and police are investigating a vehicle fire in the area, possibly related to the shooting. 680's Michelle Morton joins us with the latest details.
One man is dead and a woman has been taken to hospital after a shooting at a residence in Brampton.
We believe there were other people in there, but
police believe it's related to the shooting.
We are reaching out to the public and the neighbors. If they have any information, if they heard or seen anything, if they have video surveillance, or...
Dario.
Oh, my apologies. Dario, go ahead, please. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. I kind of have a similar sentiment to the previous call in there. We quoted a lot of the economics kind of come in place, and
especially going into COVID times. But mind you, you'd think COVID times would be a boon for business.
Yeah, I remember there was talk about that right at the start, because it was kind of in like I just had a kind of vaccine passport experience I had to talk.
We don't believe in the healthcare orders. They shut those restaurants down. So you're at the beginning of this. If your case counts continue to go,
they don't go down
until you get some.
13 degrees, feeling like 10 with some heavy rainfall in downtown Toronto. Good morning. I'm Justin Braywell. Here are the top stories this hour. Environment Canada has issued a heavy rainfall. Heavy downpours are likely to cause flash flooding, asked to contact police. A deadly shooting and a car fire in Brampton last evening, believed. And now it's 680 sports from.
Come into your.
Well, in reality, in this city,
Come into your.
Well, in reality, in this city, just because they happen on the same day, they might each be related to other shootings that happen at completely different times and have nothing to do with each other. But we're the percentage of like little kids being shot is going down. So I mean.
Hustle hard. Like I'm the last of a dying breed. Twin hammers look like the Siamese. These instrumentals we got with bragging on this rose with beer bro class riches and life. When niggas in potential nut for chopping in shifts till we win. Like connect for the cylinder, always a spin. I'll connect, shots got kicked, I gotta shoot it. Nigga, if you talk that talk, you gotta do it. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down breed. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve.
Goes on top of Pfizer's 2-dose regimen. The first shots into arms could come within days.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has yet to.
What do you do overnight? Because I know you broadcast from home, so you can just go to the fridge, but...
No shit, so you just answered the question.
Ryan, great question. Not Stephen Harper.
Cleared Sir Wilfrid Laurier, and if he wins again, he's still only a couple of ways